Hey there, welcome to another one of my videos. Yeah, my last one was pretty angry, wasn't it? Yeah, I was definitely angry. I'm not gonna try to say I wasn't. I was also very frustrated, and anger, hate, frustration. They're three very different feelings, and but yet sometimes they're mixed up together. Sometimes they're well, more than sometimes. Often they come out very similarly, at least with me. But I'd characterize it as mostly frustration. You know what? I don't know. I'm not taking back anything I said in the previous video, but you can go back and watch it for reference if you want. But I'm not so confident things are going to shake down like that now. Politics is just a giant soap opera. I remember when I was a kid and I watched professional wrestling and somebody told me it was fake, and I was like, it doesn't look fake. Those guys look totally serious, and they look like they're hurting each other, and they look like they're getting hurt. Back in those old days, there wasn't much blood, but every once in a while you see a little bit, and it's like, they're definitely hurting each other. But sometimes that's just part of the act too. I mean, these days, obviously, after the way wrestling went in the 90s and then into today, they definitely hurt each other as part of the show. So, I mean, I don't think politics is that different. And I think where we're at right now is, there's this agenda going on, and it's been going on forever. If you think back into the history of America, like I try to play this game where I study the individual histories of the presidents or whatever. And, I think the last president that was actually elected without some kind of shenanigans was maybe Jimmy Carter. I don't know. I was thinking about like the last president before him, and it was probably Kennedy. But then, it's funny, this most recent presidential election has brought up what happened with Kennedy and his election in 1960, and how him and his people were, pulling shenanigans against Nixon. Imagine if Nixon had been president in 1960, a full... when was he reelected, or when was he finally elected? Was it 68? I don't remember. I'm not as good as I should be at this stuff. Maybe it was 72. I know he was elected in 72, but that was his second. That was his second term. You're gonna have to forgive me. I'm not an expert at this stuff, and I'm really bad at dates. So anyway, my whole point is, who cares? Who cares who's the president? I don't really think they wield much power. I remember when Trump was elected in 2016, I thought to myself, I was like, oh, well, there's your proof that the president doesn't do anything, that the president is largely inconsequential, that the president is really there just to, lay odds in Vegas? I grew up a big football fan, and over the last 4 or 5 years, I started realizing that the games are fixed. When you look at that, I mean, yeah, there's still a lot of chance involved, and sometimes things don't go exactly the way they're supposed to, but, out of all the games every week, I bet you most, if not all of them, go down the way that they plan it. And considering the way gambling is intertwined with sports these days, it's, there's just too much money to be made for it not to be fixed. You know what I mean? Like, you've got shadow bettors off in some other weird, country putting together small bets, with individuals that, one large bet being broken up into a bunch of small bets, and have the bets always, it's all a game. Just like the stock market. The stock market's gambling. It's all a game. And if you're not in on the game, then you're the loser. All these people that try to play these systems and thinking that there's some kind of pattern or there's some kind of way they can predict it, or they use logic. You're the loser, because none of it's logical. Or if it is logical, it'll appear logical long enough to trick you, and then it'll go the other way, and then you're screwed, and then you lose. So what's my topic today? More fraud. But I thought about my video yesterday, which was kind of two videos that I kind of mushed together, fraud in the future. And so today I thought I would do fraud in the past, reflect a little bit on the frauds we've already seen, and the fact that this country is essentially built on fraud. I hate to say it, and I definitely have hope for the future, and I do think that the so-called capitalist system, which we can do a whole other video on that, and I think I already kind of have, but I haven't talked about so much on how I don't think we've ever even seen it. Like, none of us have ever seen a free market. And anytime I talk to these people that are into anarcho-communism or socialism or Marxism or whatever, anytime I ask them to criticize capitalism for me, they always just criticize the state. And yet their ideology wants more state. And I try pointing this out to them, and they never want to hear it. They always bring up some, like, worker this or, union that, or the people, whatever. People don't have any control over anything. I mean, they do, but they don't exercise that control. And it's sad. We do have the ability to exercise control. And though I don't support any of the activities that went on this summer with the rioting or whatever, it did show me that the will of the mob can overcome police, can overcome military. Now, I don't think it was much of a fair fight, because a lot of these things were staged. A lot of these things were allowed to happen, where if they wanted to crack down on it, bring out water cannons or LRADs or even just the old-fashioned, nightsticks. These things could have probably been squashed pretty quick, but I don't know, folks. Humans invented law to protect each other, and from bad guys. And when we live in a world where the law isn't followed, or the law is used selectively, the whole, rules for thee but not for me, everything falls apart. The whole point of law is it's supposed to be consistent. The judges are supposed to judge on consistency. They're supposed to use their logic to identify consistent patterns and to follow those patterns based on the law that they're given. When that doesn't happen, what do we have? Just chaos. And unfortunately, the election is just chaos. But it wasn't really anything new. We've had chaos all year. And we've had attempts at control all through 2020. And it was nothing new. It's just this whole crackdown, this whole COVID bullshit. It's just fruit from that same poison tree. I feel sorry for people that don't question things. People that just go along with this stuff. Because you're the real enemy. You're the reason why this stuff is allowed to happen. And I'm not laying blame specifically like something should be done about it, because I don't know what could be done about it. But you should know that your compliance with things that you know are wrong are what make things worse. And you should know that. I always go back to the Mahatma. I always go back to Gandhi. And I think, when history studies the 20th century, people are going to look at him as one of the greater geniuses. When he said, don't participate, and I'm gonna butcher his quote, and I don't even know if his quote was in English, but again, forgive me. But the gist of it is, Don't participate in things that you know are wrong. Don't participate. Non-participation is how you can fight this stuff. And you don't have to beat people over the head with it. You don't have to go out and protest about it and scream and yell and any of that overt stuff just to tell people that you want to be free. You can just be free. And honestly, that's the best way to be free. And again, I'm also not saying keep it a secret, but why make a big deal about it? If we all just lived free and didn't make a big deal about it, everything would be better. Everything, everywhere would be better. And I guess that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. For one, don't worry so much about what's going on in the world. It's designed to make you worry. It's designed to erode your freedom. Your freedom from just being happy. Your freedom from just living your life the way you want to live your life. Or just feeling the way you want to feel. You want to feel good? Then feel good. Don't let the fear in. Don't let all this hate in. I feel it myself. I see all this stuff about people getting away with crimes and people getting away with this or that. And I feel it welling up inside me, when, and then when you see people that are, stereotypical of these groups that are getting away with things, and I can feel it inside me, and I hate that feeling. I hate the feeling of the hate. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a kind of person that hates anybody individually for no reason, and I don't really hate anything anyway. I mean, it takes a lot to well up hate within inside me. I've talked about this before. I hate injustice. I hate unfairness. I hate phoniness. I hate lies. I hate scams. I mean, these are all kind of the same thing, really. They're all on the same wavelength. And those are the things I hate. People? I don't really hate people. Like, somebody would have to do a lot to me personally for me to feel like that. And even then, it would more likely be frustration than hate. And I can't really think of ever hating any person. I've definitely hated things they've done. I've definitely hated their reactions, involving me, not involving me, but them themselves, no. And I don't think any of us should be doing any of that, because that's how this all gets started. It's all like a little hate snowman, and all it takes is one little bit. One little snowball of hate, and that'll build up and build up and build up, and before long, you've got this huge thing that, can get out of control. What we need, folks, is love. I don't want to sound corny or like some hippie, but that's what we need. We need to love ourselves. And that's probably the thing that they've eroded the most, is our ability to love ourselves. We need to learn to love ourselves. And then once we can do that, even once we can just get that started, we can start loving others and just do what you can. You see someone walking down the street and you don't know what to think about them, say hi, engage with them. You would not believe how surprised people are when, instead of growling at them or sneering at them, and you smile and say hi. Now, I'm not sure how well this is going to work in a big city or anything like that, but it can't hurt. At least I hope it wouldn't. You never know these days. But if trying to throw a little love out there costs you something, then I don't know where we're going. Folks, we really got to just keep coming up with new ideas. And we got to keep loving each other, and we've got to keep just trying to do our own thing. Forget about government trying to take care of stuff. They obviously can only lie and can only defraud. And trying to rely on them for anything is only going to be disappointing. Well, that's about it for right now. Let's all move forward together. And let's try to ignore all this fear being shoved in our brains. I love you, all of you, every single one of you. And I mean it. Until next time.